Good evening, this is Brass Tax. I'm Zakir Jacob. The Supreme Court today upheld by 3-2 majority the centre's decision to have 10% quota for economically weaker sections. The majority judgment ruled that this was in keeping with the basic structure of the Constitution and there is nothing wrong in reservations based on economic factors. The opposition, though, is arguing that this is laying the ground for economic reservations for forward casts, and that is not what the Founding Fathers had in mind when it comes to affirmative action. Will this open a can of worms as far as changing the very definition or the intention of reservation is concerned? Who should have a problem with poor folks, whether they are from the general category or OBCs or SCs, if poor folks are given a leg up, whether it is in government jobs or in education? But first, the story of a significant judgment today, which by majority the Supreme Court upheld.
It's a big win for the Modi government. 3 out of 2 judges in a Supreme Court bench upheld 10% reservation in jobs and education given to the economically weaker sections since 2019. Justice Maheshwari said reservation singularly on economic background does not violate any essential feature of the Constitution. Justice Trivedi said exclusion of SCs and STs from such reservation is not unreasonable. Justice Pardiwala said it's necessary to take into review the manner of identification and ways of determining backward classes. But the dissenting judgment came from outgoing Chief Justice of India, UU Lalit, and Justice Bhatt, who said it violates the non-discrimination and non-exclusionary facet of the Equality Code.
ये सरकार गरीबों को, पीड़ितों को समर्पित है, तो गरीब व्यक्ति कोई भी हो, किसी भी जाति धर्म का हो, और वो पीड़ित है तो उसके प्रति एक संवेदना का भाव रखना चाहिए.
The EWS quota was introduced through the 103rd constitutional amendment and cleared by the centre in 2019. Most opposition parties didn't oppose it.
It is victory for Parliament because this amendment is passed unanimously. Nobody opposed it. Poor people in upper caste also should get reservation. And that has been upheld. We welcome it.
I'm happy at this development. It's a step forward in bringing social and economic equality in the country.
The quota bypassed affirmative action that benefits traditionally marginalized communities like the SC, ST and OBC. Questions were also raised on how the quota can cross the 50% cap on reservation set by the Supreme Court in 1992.
Mindset of the Supreme Court that the biased mindset, whenever it comes to the SC, ST, OBC, they have a different yardstick, and when it comes to the general category, has a different stand.
They have not, collected data in a scientific manner. They have got a random sampling done, gives an unguided power, untrammeled power to say that such of those persons are economically weaker section. The Constitution doesn't define who are all economically weaker section. So that criteria is also not given.
Today's judgment does not touch the reservation of SC, ST and OBCs. But by allowing reservation based on economic status, has it opened a Pandora's box?
All right, on the talking point this evening, Syed Zafar Islam is national spokesperson of the BJP, Arshpreet Singh Kadyal is spokesperson of the Congress Party, Salem Dharanidharan is spokesperson of the DMK, KK Manan is a senior advocate with the Supreme Court. But let me start with Arshpreet Singh Kadyal. The point that's being said by the Supreme Court in a 3-2 majority judgment is that economic factors-based reservation for economically weaker sections does not violate the basic structure of the Constitution. And just because the forefathers did not at that point envision reservation by economic means, that doesn't mean that that cannot be introduced. By 3-2 majority, the court has said that there is nothing violative of the basic structure, that economically weaker sections deserve a leg up, and that's why this provision stays.
Yes, it was Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, Mr. Narasimha Rao and Mr. Manmohan Singh who had paved the way for this and had laid down the groundwork. Now, number one, on 6th of September 1990, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi was the then PM. He had first argued that in the economic criterion, he argued for the inclusion of the economic criterion in reservation. After that, on 25th of September 1991, Narasimha Rao ji said that he rather made a provision for 10% reservation of the economically backward sections, and the memo was declared unconstitutional by the Honorable Supreme Court, citing the Indira Sane judgment. Number 3, 12 years after that, Mr. Manmohan Singh, he made a commission, the Sino Commission, which was also reconstituted on the 10th of July 2006, that the BJP has referred to in order to defend the economic criterion. And number 4,
No, but Ashpreet, every time the issue of a reservation for poor folks, economically weaker folks within forward caste, the general category used to come, the Congress has always taken a position that is opposed to it. The reservation should only be based on social backwardness.
No, not at all. I am giving you facts. I'm giving you dates also. I'm giving you facts with regards to it. Number 1, the argument.
Why then did the UPA not bring this amendment to the Constitution? You were in power for 10 years. Why didn't you bring any form of reservation for economically weaker sections?
When we made a provision for the inclusion of 10% when we made a provision for 10% reservation for the EWS, it was struck down by the Honorable Supreme Court, citing the Indira Sane judgment, 25th of September 1991. Please
so that is exactly what I'm asking you, Ashpreet. Why then did not you, when you were in power between 2004 and 2014, why did you not make an attempt to bring such an amendment again? The struck down that you're talking about was in the 1990s. I'm asking you, what did you do between 2004 and 14? And again, I'm putting facts on the table. The Congress has always been opposed to economic reservations, saying that reservations should solely be based on social backwardness or community backwardness.
Now, that is factually incorrect. Please check our manifesto of 2014. In 2014, the Lok Sabha manifesto, the Congress party categorically said that if we come into power, we will bring economically weaker sections reservation and we'll make sure that it's implemented as soon as possible. And number 4, like I said, the Bharatiya Janata Party has double standards. They say we are all about, serving the poor people. However, the EWS flats in Kalkaji, everybody knows it for a fact that the Congress government brought it, planned it. It started in 2013, 3,024 flats, but the Bharatiya Janata Party delayed it by 6 long years. And due to that, there's been a cost escalation by 68%.
No, look, the flats is a separate matter. Let's stick to the issue of today. The issue of today is EWS quotas being upheld by the Supreme Court of India. Let me go to Zafar Islam, please. One second, Ashpreet, one second. I'm moving away from you. I'm going to Zafar. Moving away from Ashpreet, going to Zafar. Zafar, the question, only Zafar on screen, please. The question that's being asked by opposition parties, although Ashpreet is not saying that, but other opposition parties, RJD, Samajwadi Party, DMK, etc., is the forefathers of India, the writers of our constitution, never envisioned quotas basis economic criteria. You are now opening a Pandora's box. They're saying that this is simply a backdoor reservation for forward castes who are poor.
See, first of all, I heard the Congress spokesperson, Zaka. He was contradicting his own statement. He was giving history of 70 years of Congress rule in India, but Congress lacked conviction in a concept which he's talking about, that this was the Congress concept, and they were implemented it. So that only suggests that they were anti this reservation for economically weaker section of the society. We, in 2014, envisaged that, understood the dynamics, and today we have delivered it. We have delivered it in 2019, but today Supreme Court has put its stamp that it is constitutional validity, and also this will also ensure that the poorer section of the forward caste will be benefited immensely from this.
Zafar, I have two questions.
Our government in
Zafar.
2019.
One is, today it's restricted to 10%. Yeah. Tomorrow, what's the guarantee that that 10% will not become 15% or that 15% will not become 20%? How much reservation will we have in this country? That's number one. Number two, you've restricted this today to economically weaker sections within forward castes. Tomorrow, somebody will turn around and say economically weaker section, so you should give to Muslims also. Why not?
See, this 10% includes Muslim also. First of all, you must understand that it is for the citizen, it is for the weaker section of the society, and it includes every caste, creed, and religion. Third thing which is important for you to understand, that what is our objective? What is the objective of our government? What is the objective of the Honorable Prime Minister? He has time and again stated that he wants to empower the common man on the street, he wants to empower the poorer section of the society. And this is a move which has empowered the poorer section of the forward caste, because there is no safety net available for them. And today the Honorable Prime Minister has delivered to their expectation, because his objective is to ensure that every citizen of this great country is empowered.
Let me go to Selam Dharanidharan of the DMK. Selam Dharanidharan, the reservation status in India as of right now: scheduled caste 15%, scheduled tribes 7.5%, OBCs 27%, and now with EWS quota amongst general caste, it's 10%. So the overall reservation goes up to 59.5% in most states. Of course, in the state that you come from, it's at 69%. But the question that's being asked is, this 10% does not disrupt in any way either the scheduled caste reservation or the scheduled tribe reservation or the OBC reservation. Why then are parties like yours opposed to it?
Thank you, Zaka. I would like to make 4 observations. Before that, I'd like to clarify my party stand. So, from the days of Justice Party, the precursor to DMK, we've been for equity and equality. The first, any form of affirmative action was introduced by Justice Party in its manifesto in 1921. Subsequently, after India got independence in the 1950s, only because of DMK, the amendments with regards to affirmative action was brought about. The reason why we believe that any form of affirmative action should be based on social deprivation and not based on economic status is because economic status is transient or ephemeral, but social status is permanent. If you look, right, the traditional caste-based reservations were offered to negate social cleavages that has resulted because of 1,000 years of social injustice. Right? These groups are not just socially backward, but are also economically backward. So the previously existing reservation was to undo social inequality. So if that is the case, so why not include these groups or also into the economically weaker section? See, Honorable Justice Ravindra Bhatt said the same thing. The most economically disadvantaged groups are the OBCs and SCs and STs. So how do you leave them from the EWS? You may ask, they have reservation as per OBC, SC, STs, but that is only for social deprivation, not for economic deprivation. And that's why we say that this EWS is travesty to equality principle. And also, how do you calculate 8 lakhs? As a threshold? That is laughable, because 98.5% of the general population, Indian population, earn lesser than the EWS threshold. In fact, a beautiful article had come out in the Hindu by a Boston professor and Ashoka University professor, which clearly says it's only because of how the reservation is filled, right? The sequence, only because of that EWS is making some form of impact, otherwise it's just same as a general pool.
No, but Dharanidharan,
senior advocate leader.
No, one second. You do know, and I think you conflated two different things. You are saying that why not extend economic criteria to existing reservations, whether it is for OBCs or SC, STs, and that you also went on to say that most of them are both socially and economically backward. Now, you do know that in OBCs there is something called a creamy layer. Those who earn above a certain amount are excluded from the OBC reservation because they happen to be creamy layer. So answer me 2 questions. Number one, this hypothesis that everybody who has socially been deprived is also economically deprived is wrong, because otherwise you won't have a creamy layer. And 2, if you can use economic criteria to exclude OBCs who are in the creamy layer, why can't you use economic criteria to give to those who deserve it the most, who are economically weaker?
Yeah, see, even when creamy layer was introduced in OBC reservation, DMK vehemently opposed it, because we clearly said any form of affirmative action cannot be based on the money they make. If you look at research also from the US, the Afro-Americans, you can look at the income. But even if you look at the income may vary, like even if you go to households that make more than $80,000 or $90,000, but amount of people in top level jobs being justices in Supreme Court or High Court, the equivalent in the US, or going to Harvard or Stanford, is abysmally low compared to someone who's born white. And this is also proven in India. If you look at the 67 union ministries in India, 66 belong to the 2 topmost castes. So economic deprivation is completely different from social deprivation. So I made the demarcation very clear. So the first demarcation is you can't be confused. And second, even if you want to introduce EWS in spite of that, then you should have to include first the OBCs, SCs and STs, and thirdly, even if you want to do it, that threshold money is absolutely wrong.
Okay, I'll leave the threshold
And
money
again,
part because that's a calculation that is
based on
complicated.
NSS survey from 2004.
Let me ask KK Manan on both of those points, which the DMK spokesperson said that our founding fathers never envisioned reservation to be based on economic criteria. Does this open a Pandora's box? And B, that this is simply reservation for forward cast through the back door. Mr. Manan.
I welcome this judgment, and at least after 75 years of the independence, a Prime Minister has come who has given thought towards the forward or the high caste people. Let me tell you, go to Bihar, UP, Punjab, Haryana, in every village, Brahman, Rajput, high caste, I will say, I'll not the name of the religion, caste and creed. How the people are poor, they are unable to serve their children 2 times even food. You see why they are being deprived for the last 75 years? Number one. Number two, I think the perception is being created by some political parties that this 10% quota is affecting SC, ST or the backward. No, not at all. Their reservations is intact as per this judgment, and in fact I feel it, and I felt it also, that this judgment should have been a unanimous judgment. However, a majority judgment is there, so it will prevail upon.
No, but
Mr. At the same time, I'll request all the political party people, please just a minute, political people, please, for God's sake, don't divide. Still, you have seen, because I remember the Mandal days. One Prime Minister came only for 9 months, and how this society, he divided at that time on a Mandal. But anyway, when this Mandal Commission was there, this commission, this and that, it will be formed every time, but no result is there. But at least somebody has come. He is not from the high caste. So I congratulate him. I pray for his good health, long life.
No, Mr. Manan, Mr. Manan, please argue on a legal point. I'm asking you a very specific legal question.
Given a thought.
Ma'am, sir. A very specific legal question. The Indira Sahni judgment of 1992, the reason why it had a cap of 50% on reservations was that it goes against the idea of merit. You have 50% for reservation for socially deprived categories, and then 50% should be on merit. If today a majority, this is close to 60%, is going to be on reservation, then the idea of merit is getting negated in this country.
Now, may I answer this?
Yeah.
Now see, every time, now this is the judgment. Every judge has its own mind, set and mind. At that time, I can give you an example. Same parties, same council, same bench. Before lunch, the judgment was different than the after lunch judgment. Because at the time of delivering the judgment, if the judge is open, if he can deliver a judgment, even he can differ his own view. He can differ it. So their view now for 60%, 50% quota, whatever it is, now their mind, judicial mind, worked that at least 10% should be given to the high caste. What is harm? So it is not illegality. There is, in the eyes of law, and so far as 50% nowadays, 60% tomorrow, as you said rightly, it may go 15% tomorrow, but depends on the judgment and the judges.
No. So where does someone draw the line? Today it's 60%, tomorrow it could be 65%, it could be 70%. If 3/4 of seats for educational institutions and jobs are going to be assigned for socially backward sections, socially deprived sections, then merit in this country is only for the remaining 25%. Merit in this country is only there for the remaining 30%.
Please remember.
No, let me go to...
Sir, please remind, I'm reminding you that till what stage, for 15 years, 20 years, till what time this SC/ST quota was there? Why it has not been removed? You see that PD dar PD, I mean, back to back. And you see that if me is the IAS officer, my son will be IAS officer if I am SC/ST or backward. Even my father was IAS officer. We are getting, now we are not poor, but still we are not leaving the quota. Those people should have left the quota for the poor people.
So let me then go back.
Was rightly said that it was a socially and economically.
Let me then go back to Ashpreet Karyal, and the point that I think Salem Dharanidaran also made is, if you can have a creamy layer as a economic criteria to exclude people from reservation, and so you should, because ultimately the point of a reservation is to create a level playing field. I do not believe that people who earn less than 8 lakh rupees have the same playing field as those who earn 50 lakh rupees or 60 lakh rupees, even if you're from a disprivileged background. The fact of the matter is, if you can use economic criteria to exclude people from reservation, then surely you can use economic criteria to include people in reservation because they're earning less than 8 lakh rupees a year.
Well, definitely, I think the Bharatiya Janata Party is in the government, and they should definitely, consider this, because the Bharatiya Janata Party till date, their stand before 2019, their stand was entirely different. And as a matter of fact, there was a reply to a question on the 1st of December 2019 in the Rajya Sabha, where the Social Justice Ministry categorically said that there was no census or survey done, on the EWS. And in order to defend the economic criteria, let me quote again that they have referred to our Sino Commission that was constituted under the UPA regime. Zaka, you questioned us, what did you do after 1990? It was us who brought the Sino Commission. It was us, that made sure that this commission could be utilized for the EWS, and the Bharatiya Janata Party has referred to that. And number two, another thing.
No spokesperson, no expert on this panel is willing to address the elephant in the room, and that is... One second. Today 60% reservation is there in this country, which means 6 out of 10 people who are getting a government job are coming through reservation. Only 40% is there through merit. Tomorrow, any party can make that 65% or 70%. No, that's the whole problem. Zafar Islam, your party for number of years had been railing and ranting against, the dilution of merit. You please tell me, can you give a guarantee that 60% will not become 65 or 65 will not become 70? Where is the room for merit, Zafar Islam? No, one second. I'm asking Zafar Islam. I'm not asking you that. I'm asking Zafar Islam. Ashpreet, yield. Yeah, Zafar.
Zaka, same question will be posed by the economically weaker section, people who comes from that section of the society, that who will look after their concern. It is the responsibility of the government to initiate some affirmative action. This happens to be one of them, to ensure that their interest is also safeguarded in the country where they live. So, if your question is that whether it will exceed beyond 10%, my answer is no. It has been thought through, and the 10%, whether it's a Sino Commission or whatever commission he is referring to, I think if the commission report was delivered at that point in time, then they should have implemented it. But they had no conviction. They always had a commission to project something, not with intention to deliver it, but only to mislead the people. Here, we have promised it. Our job was to ensure that every section of the society and their concern is being addressed, and the Honourable Prime Minister has done in a manner that neither SC/ST nor any other reservation which was already in place.
That is the whole point, Zafar.
But that if you wanted to introduce,
if you wanted to introduce economically weaker sections reservation, and nobody has a problem with that. Like I said, the whole idea of reservation is to create a level playing field, and the poorest of poor in this country absolutely deserve it. My only point is, then you should have introduced it for SC/STs as well as for OBCs and kept it within the 50% limit, because the other 50% are then turning around and saying, what value does merit have in this country? Because if 60% is gone through reservation, only 40% is left for merit.
No, this was debated in the parliament, and you heard Mr. Khadge just now, how welcoming he was. Every party supported it. and there was absolutely no party who had objected to this proposal. So it was supported by each and every party that 10% support as a reservation should be made for EWS category, and that is why the government had proposed, and it was accepted by not only by or supported by not only the ruling MPs of the ruling party, but across all the opposition parties. There was absolutely nobody who was
Salem
anti
Dharanidharan made this point
bill.
about how
So
comparing socially disadvantaged groups here in India, comparing them to blacks in the United States. But you will also remember that affirmative action in the United States, again, is basis and economic criteria. It is not for social deprivation. If you're a third generation black, wealthy, went to good schools and so on, you don't get affirmative action in colleges in the United States. Affirmative action is again basis those people who have been worse off economically, who cannot afford to go to college or pay exorbitant college fees. You create a level playing field for them. That's the whole principle.
Can I add on?
Yeah, Salem.
No. See, the pure merit as such is utopian. You said so only the 40% is going through merit. In fact, even if you look at this book by the Harvard professor, Tyranny of Merit, which says pure merit as such is an utopian concept. Even in Harvard, you have to get in. If you are from deprived black, whatever be your income level, you are given much more preference than the white. Having said that, this 10% EWS quota is an electoral gimmick, because 98.5% of the population earn less than 8 lakhs. If you earn 6 to 8 lakhs, you are upper middle class. 2 to 6 lakhs, you are middle class. And then from 40,000 to 2 lakhs, you are lower middle class. And 40% of the population which earns less than $1 a day, right? That is about 40,000 a year. So what are you going to do for them? So if you really want to uplift the poor, then come follow the Dravidian model, where we give reservations in need for government school students. Who go to government school? People who are really economically deprived. Also the other problem. So let's say, as I said, economic status is ephemeral. Someone would be making 6 lakhs 2 years back and now make 20 lakhs. So this situation changes. Or someone's elder brother might be working in the US and the Middle East making $1 crore, but since he's a permanent citizen there, that is not taken into account here. So these are the issues. So this is a simple electoral gimmick, if you ask me.
Okay, I'm going to wrap it up at that. We'll thank all the guests, Salem Dharanidharan, Zafar Islam, Ashpreet Kadyal and Mr. Manan for joining us. But let's be very, very clear. No one has a problem against giving reservation for economically weaker sections. Absolutely. If anybody has due say over the resources of this country, it should be the poor. Absolutely no problem with that. The issue is, how far will you go? The ceiling was 50%. It was by a constitutional bench of the Supreme Court in 1992, the Indira Sahni judgment. People thought that 50% will not be breached. Today it's been breached. It's gone up to 60% now. Tomorrow, there is no guarantee that 60% could not be 65 or 65 could not become 70. So then, what does that put paid to the idea of merit in this country? I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back on the other side, the anti-hijab movement is now spreading from Iran to India. A group of young women taking out a protest in Kozhikode in Kerala. Let's have details of that story and a lot more when we come back right on the other side.